So I thought I would tell you about my 12 favourite books of 2012. So the first is obviously The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, because it's just so amazing. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will make you think. At one point I was actually laughing and crying at the same time, and it also really made me want to travel more. Like, I've always wanted to go to Amsterdam, but the scenes where they're there, just, I want to go so much more now. So I'm really excited because, as you all probably know, John Green is coming to London in February and I'm going to go see him. I'm so excited. Unwind by Neil Schusterman, and I actually only discovered this in March and I loved it. And something I noticed is that all the dystopians that were published earlier this year aren't that great, but if you go back and read the ones that were written around the same time as Hunger Games, like 2006, 2007, they're a lot better. Yes. Which leads on to the second one, Unholy. I'm so glad that I didn't have to wait the 5 years, because Unwound was originally published in 2007 and Unholy came out in August, so I only had to wait a couple of months. And Unholy is just as good as Unwind. So the next thing I'm going to only mention briefly, Guardian Angel by Robert Muchamore, which was really good, and One Shot Kill by Robert Muchamore. And I'm not going to say anything else because in pretty much every single video I mention this author, and I'm not going to do it again. Okay, moving straight on. The next is Speed by Maya Grant, and this book was actually one that I found in a discounted bookshop for about £2. It's about these two characters and they're bloggers in a world where people get their news from blogs because there was a zombie apocalypse and the traditional media didn't take it seriously, so from then people turned to blogs for their news, and it was really interesting. It's actually the first book in a series of 3, but I have no intention of reading the second because I downloaded the first chapter on my Kindle and I didn't get more than a page into it, so I'm just going to treat it as like a standalone book because it works perfectly on its own. Okay, so the next few are classics. Animal Farm by George Orwell, 1984 by George Orwell, and Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Oh my god, these books were so good! If you read my blog, you know that in October I read Pride and Prejudice and I couldn't stop talking about it because it's just so great. And also the same with the George Orwell books, and I think if you watch my previous video you can see what I thought about them. The Porks, that would be a whole different book. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I actually first tried to read this back in March and I got about a chapter into it and was just like, nah, don't want to read this, put it back on my bookshelf. And then earlier this month in December, my friend was telling me that I should read it, and I was like, I already gave up, and she convinced me to give it another try, and I'm so glad that she did because I read it in 2 sittings, one on a really long bus journey. It's so good, I can't wait to watch the film when it comes out on DVD. Just read it if you haven't already, you probably have. So next, I'm not entirely sure how you say this one, but The Diviners or The Diviners by Libba Bray. And I love this cover, and also I love this bit in the inside which tells you about the book. It's so pretty. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I liked the setting and the characters, and I'm definitely going to pick up the second one when it comes out. The last book I don't actually own. I took it out of a library, and it was called Just Henry, and I can't remember the woman's exact name, but it was the same author who wrote Goodnight Mr. Tom, and which I loved when I was about 11, and I haven't had a chance to read since then. But I really enjoyed it. It was set just after the Second World War, and it was about a boy called Henry and like two of his friends, and they had this, like, they were obsessed with film, and I love that. I love it when books have a character who's really nerdy about something, and especially things that I'm nerdy about. Yeah. So those were my 12 books of 2012. What books did you enjoy in 2012? Also, I should have another video up tomorrow talking about my New Year's resolution. Okay, bye.